Hey fellas, how you doing? It's Johnny. I wanted to make a video because I've just been working with a really lovely man from America. He's been doing my Skype program and we're on session 5, and they always say that when you teach you learn. Teachers teach so they can learn. Obviously I knew that, but I realised today, and some really interesting things came up in the Skype session that I wanted to share today and give you a continued free session. Let me just get my mind right, because there's so many things that we talked about that are relevant. And as I was teaching, and I don't like saying that, I feel arrogant when I say as I was teaching, it sounds egotistical. As I was helping him, and I always get help back, it started to reveal things in my childhood when I was going through my social anxiety, my uncomfortable feelings around people, and that's why I'm able to relate so much. And I thought, okay, that's why I'm a good teacher, that's why I get people amazing results, because I went through it, I had it. And I still get scared from time to time as well, I'm not perfect. So, okay, what's the thing I want to talk about? Yeah, actually, so my student that I was working with said one of the frustrations that he had socially was when he'd be in conversations with people, they would cut him off. So say like I'm talking to you now, they would just override what he's saying and he wouldn't be able to express himself, and that causes a lot of frustration. I had the same thing. I traced mine right back to my father, and that was exactly what my dad used to always do to me. When we'd be in well, we didn't have a conversation, because when I was going to speak, he would just cut me off. So what it actually did to me was, it made me feel worthless. It made me lose confidence in my ability to speak to people, because that dynamic, that relationship I had with my dad, that pattern, every time that would happen, unconsciously that would reinstall what I have to say has got no value. Because when I speak, my dad just cuts me off, or when I am speaking to him, his facial expressions, you can read someone's face. But when he would speak, I'd be too afraid to challenge him, to stand up for myself. So I'd just end up being a verbal punch bag. So people would be speaking, and that's why for a long time I didn't enjoy conversation. I feel awful saying this. I didn't enjoy conversations with people because I couldn't get my word in. And as I thought about it, I'm tracing back, I'm going back in time. I'm going back in time a lot lately because I'm doing a lot of work with the guys. This happened to me in all my social relationships and conversations with people. I noticed it, where when I would say stuff, people, okay, if it was really relevant, they would listen, and you know, people can be selfish. If it benefited them and it was fulfilling their ego, they'd be engaged. But if it was about how I felt or something important to me, they just would dismiss it, or they'd override me, overpower me, and I'd fall into that. How can I explain it? It's a bit like I'd fall into, I'm trying to get the word right, give me a second. I'd kind of fall into feeling like a victim, where I'd go quiet, I'd be silenced. And I really resonate with everyone who's gone through it, because I spent a lot of time in my earlier life in silence with people, because I was actually too afraid to speak, and I couldn't admit this to myself on a conscious level. It was too painful, but unconsciously I abandoned myself from conversations with people. So this, for me personally, it brought up a lot of anger and resentment and hate towards other people, which is obviously hate towards myself for not being able to express myself. That's what I wanted to say. So I thought to myself, what has this done for me? What could this do for you watching this video if you've got social anxiety? It's transformed my life. Unconsciously, that's why I've made over 1,000 YouTube videos that have gone out all around the world. I'm aware now, so spiritually, of what I'm doing. I'm trying to justify and get validation. See how sharp you can be spiritually. But it is true. My voice has healed people all around the world. People love to listen to what I've got to say. That's why the comments just keep coming. I get emails every day, every week. And I do a job that I love. So my dad taught me a great lesson. My dad actually was my teacher and still is my teacher. I really mean that. This is not sarcasm, I'm not being aggressive. So this is pretty much the same thing that I said to my friend, and it is a projection, believe it or not. I only discovered this when I worked with Jeff 2 years ago. I realised that, as a matter of fact, I realised that I projected my whole reality. So when I'd meet new people, it wasn't their fault. They wasn't trying to stop me from speaking, they weren't trying to belittle me, but unconsciously I was projecting out. I'm frightened, I don't trust what I say, I'm not confident in what I'm saying, and people unconsciously pick up on that. They take the shape and the form of the person that abused you. In my case, it was my father, and that dynamic gets played out. Isn't that fascinating? It's incredible. When I started to change and work on myself, and I'm going to talk about the day game in a second, because day game meeting women come up in our conversation, it's relevant. That started to stop happening, and that was quite scary for me when that happened, because I wasn't actually used to people listening to me and not interrupting me and not just sort of go, you know, with a dismissive face. So it's a painful lesson, and it was painful for me, but it was a very beautiful lesson as well, because it transformed my life. So I learned loads from this session, absolutely loads. I was able to go back. There's a sign, there's a lovely bird, a sign. I was able to basically break down and understand my teaching better, because this is the Irish in me. I can't always explain my own teaching. That's bizarre, isn't it? I can't explain how I do things. I need people to ask me questions about their problems, and I can. Does it make sense? And Tolly said this as well. He said that true teaching comes from authenticity. It comes from people asking you questions, because then you can go. It doesn't come from me. It doesn't come from me, the personality, the ego. It comes out of the the present moment. So we said some things, both of us, back and forward, that were profound. I wish I should have written stuff down to share with you guys. So the main focus is, I know how you feel if you go through that. I had it in all my relationships. My mum did it to me, my dad did it to me, all of my family did it, my friends did it to me, my earlier girlfriends did it to me, because I allow people to do it. I allow people to do it by projecting anger, projecting self-hate, projecting jealousy, projecting frustration, and I couldn't hide the fact that I was nervous and I stuttered. I told the guy the next step is, because he asked me, are there any things I can do, you know, among the things that we've been doing, because he's really growing, he's doing really well. And I said, well, the obvious things are to go and speak to people. But I also said to him, look, I'm going to be really straight with you. It's my job to be honest. I've been online. I've searched everything about social anxiety because I'm obsessed with it. I had it and I teach it, and I just love it. I just like helping people with it because you can grow so much from it. And 90% of what I've seen online is not true, is not the truth. And I'll be careful when I say that. I don't want to sound critical and say, oh, my teaching is the best. But my teaching is the best. And I'll tell you why my teaching is the best. Because I suffered with horrific social phobia for pretty much all my life, only overcome it in the last 2 or 3 years. And I sometimes still get revisited. Don't be fooled. Don't think because I'm confident and you see the YouTube and all the other stuff that I don't sometimes get socially intimidated, because I do. I do get socially intimidated in different situations. I've had a couple of situations this week that have brought things up in me, but it's all growth, it's all good. I'm still learning too. I'm still in the process. So the problem with a lot of the stuff with social anxiety online, if you go on the internet, is fantastic at outlaying the problem, which is the symptoms, but we already know that. We know that. Doctors, psychologists, psychotherapists, they keep talking about the problem, but no one is brave enough to talk about the solution. Do you know what the solution is? It's very simple, in one line. And I actually, again, just like teaching this student, I was recited this from Jeff Thompson, my mentor. He had said this about his own journey, and it reminded me about what's worked for me and what he also helped me with his teaching, deliberate suffering. I'm going to take his word. The only way to overcome social anxiety is to deliberately suffer. And it's true what Jeff said. It's a deliberate suffering of putting yourself in situations that terrify you and bring up those feelings and practicing in those feelings. The more you practice putting yourself in social situations that make you uncomfortable and frightened and bring up those feelings of embarrassment, shame, self-betrayal, self-hate, projected self-hate on other people, the quicker you're going to start overcoming it and building self-love and changing your projection of the world, yourself, and people will look different. And that's exactly what I did. I thought about it and I said to, I'm not going to say my friend's name online, I said, you know what, let me just tell you a quick story about when I first went out and did the day game. And it's a lot of people seem to think that, because they just have an idea, they just think you're confident, you go on YouTube, you go out, you meet women, you're good at it. And it's like, no, it wasn't like that. I was afraid. I was terrified of women, terrified of people, more terrified than you can imagine. You probably can imagine. Probably more afraid than my students now. I had anxiety so bad. I had it so bad where I developed sub-personalities, which is what the old Johnny Berba was. I didn't even know that on a conscious level. He was a sub-personality to protect this guy. So when I went out on the streets, when I first met Floyd, of course he massively helped me, inspired me, and he gave me a lot of confidence. But when he wasn't around, I was by myself. I didn't have that crutch, and at that time I couldn't afford coaching. I wasn't even employed. I was unemployed. I was on job seekers allowance. So I remember walking down the street in London thinking, oh, methods are not going to work. How is a method going to hide my social anxiety? I'm stuttery, people can see it. As soon as I walk up and say hello to a girl, she can read it on my face. You can see by how I talk I'm nervous. So I thought, I can't hide it. Of course, I developed coping mechanisms and personalities to try and better manage it, and I did try and hide it, but I couldn't really hide. It was sensed. So I realised I have to deliberately suffer. I have to keep putting myself in these situations until it gets a bit easier. And that's what I did when I first started with the day game. I remember some of my first few approaches after I'd spent time with Floyd, because I had a long break from Floyd and I got introduced to the pickup stuff. I remember stopping women on the street and I stopped them and say, excuse me, and they'd go, yep. I couldn't speak, nothing would come out, and they'd think I was weird and they'd walk away. And I'd feel awful, I'd feel the rejection. I'll go for another chance again, same again. I just keep doing it and doing it and doing it until a little bit better. I could speak a little bit more, a little bit better. And then sometimes I'd get in a good mood, because we've all got a side to us that is charismatic. That would come out and I'd have a great conversation and just feel great, get a phone number, come away, think, oh great, I don't have social anxiety no more. But then it'd be back again. So this was a continuous process. So what I'm saying is, the process to overcome social anxiety and to build social confidence and to get better with women and people is a process. There's no method. There is no, if there was a method, I'd be a millionaire. I'd be a billionaire, because I would have brought out a method and put it online. Now, with my anxiety program that I made, it's not a method as such, it's an actual process. It's giving people principles and a practice, but you still have to do that deliberate suffering, which is what Jeff Thompson talks about. You have to put yourself in situations that are frightening. And then I think about my life now, I'm deliberately suffering every week. I'm scared every week, because I'm just continuously going up to high levels of consciousness, and I'm forced to. My clientele's getting stronger and more demanding and wanting more, so it forces me. I have to get stronger and better spiritually. When I say stronger, I mean more congruent, because I work with people from different sectors, different backgrounds, and I work with some really confident people, so it forces me. I've got to be. And how do I do that? I do that by deliberately suffering. So that was my truth, and it still remains. And when I say my truth, that is the truth. So I said that to my friend online, and he agreed. And I said, but your route won't be exactly the same as mine. It's not going to be the same as Johnny Berba's or the next guy. It's going to be it's going to shape in your reality the way you shape it. But the feelings you're going to have to experience are exactly the same. And those feelings, I know that feeling. It's hard to even explain on camera. As soon as you get in contact with humans, a rush of fear comes up, and you go straight into your head, and you're worried about what to say, and you're panicking about how you're coming across, and you think, can they see that I'm nervous? Can they see that I'm not quite comfortable with what I'm saying? You start worrying. Got to go through it. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. There was a dog there, just as I said it. First a bird, now a dog. So you got to go through it. But let me give you something that helped me. It helped me to go through it. And let me just remind you, I failed a lot of times. I put a lot of infill footage up, but unfortunately there was a lot more footage. Well, actually there wasn't footage. I mean, I didn't film a lot of stuff because I didn't want to film a camera everywhere. But you guys and girls didn't see the dates I went on when I panicked and couldn't speak on a date. There was a lot of times I went out on the street and I was good at, you know, I got kind of, I call it a cocky act. I got confident in a sort of persona, which was, there was a little bits of me, but it wasn't my true self, and I'm not going to be hard on myself for that. So women would be impressed by that, and I know what to say, and it's manipulative. I know how to use the certain techniques, or even anyway. So they'd be attracted, that they'd accept the date, but when I come on the date, I'd be nervous because my state would drop, and I'm kind of back to my nervous self. So I'm walking in Covent Garden, wherever I am, and I'm taking this incredibly stunning woman, and I'm thinking, I'm actually shitting myself. I'm actually scared. I'm frightened. I am scared, and she thinks I'm really confident, but she doesn't know that I'm actually shitting myself on the inside. I don't know what I'm going to say to her. I'm going to fall apart. That's how vicious my internal monologue was. Despite, and I'm not being arrogant when I say this is despite when I'd had quite a lot of experience with women sexually. I still got those feelings coming up because I was carrying a lot of childhood trauma that I wasn't aware of on a conscious level. But I had the feelings, and many times I did fall apart. I'll tell you a very funny story, and this is the truth. This is embarrassing, but it's good. I met this beautiful woman in Covent Garden. I thought it was a woman. She was very confident. And as we were walking on the date, I felt really nervous. I felt pressure because she said, oh, I told her about my YouTube channel, what I did. There was a bit of insecurity probably on my part back then. And I felt feelings come up. This is when I was kind of breaking down, started to break down. And when I sat down, she said, so tell me more about what you do, your job. And I couldn't speak. Fear beat me. I got beaten that day. That's ego. And some issues come up for me, and this was after transforming men, you know, all around the world. I'd run hundreds of boot camp seminars, but I was starting, what was happening was my full self was breaking down, and all my issues with my dad in the past were coming up, so I couldn't hide anymore in that persona, and the real me was breaking through, which was a scared, nervous guy. So I just called it out, told her, but then after I realised it was a man. I thought, I'm not joking, that's a true story. I told that to, I was on a meeting with a girl, and I didn't do anything. I'm straight as an arrow. But that frightened the life out of me, and then I obviously, I couldn't believe it. I've been on lots of dates, there's always going to be one. And I'm not 100%, but I'm quite sure, I think it was a man who had a sex change. This is not a joke, I'm not. And I didn't do anything because I'm straight. And we spoke and I left. And that was embarrassing. One, it was embarrassing because I messed up, I got nervous, and the second one, it was embarrassing because I went on a date with a man and I didn't notice it was a man. And that, you know, that didn't make me feel good, but lucky I didn't do anything. I'm straight, please, I promise you. So there's other situations I remember when I was going out doing the day game, and I've already spoken about it in the bedroom. I got quite a lot of women back to the bedroom, and I was confident the whole way, and I was picked them up on the street, went on a date, kissed them on a date, got back to the flat, and had a horror attack. All my issues came up. I started sweating. I couldn't get an erection. I'm not embarrassed to say it. I'm not embarrassed to bring it out and say that, because a lot of men won't say this. But that's the problem today. People don't like telling the truth because everyone is embarrassed and everyone wants to protect themselves, but we don't grow like that. So I went through that situation a lot. Erectile dysfunction, stage fright, panic, intimacy fright, afraid of sex. But guess what happened when I practiced more? I got better in those feelings, and I developed, and those feelings I started to get better managing them, and I was able to be confident, be myself. So how did I come on this video talking now like this? When I first started my YouTube channel about 4 years ago, I was nervous about doing video blogs. What are people going to think about me? What if I don't come across right? But that didn't last too long. Shall I tell you why? And it's the same reason I told my students over Skype, because I had a massive purpose, I had a massive dream, and my dream was I'm going to get this pain out of me. And I've prayed that to God on many occasions, and within that purpose, obviously, the purpose is always love. As the poet Rumi said, every single desire that we have as human beings, man or woman, everything that we desire unconsciously is love. You coming on this video now, you're looking for love, and you've come to the right place. Me putting the videos out for you guys and girls, I'm looking for love. But again, our society has got all these different ideas about love, whether it's strong, it's soft, and we're quite, especially as British culture, we're quite uncomfortable about being emotional, talking about love. It's not very British. But I'm not worried about all that stuff, because love is what's changed my life and continuously got me here. So the deliberate suffering will be worth it if the purpose is love, if you recognize it's love. And love comes in the form of, because my student today said, want to get married, want to find a wife. Fantastic, so do I. Want to make money, want to start a business. Purpose is love. Want to build better relationships, want to overcome the social anxiety, want to be in a conversation where people stop cutting you off and people start respecting you and start actually listening to what you've got to say. But this is what I've learned furtherly. That didn't make sense, ignore that, mistake. We have to love who we are. I have to love my own voice for you to want to hear what I've got to say. I have to love being me. I have to love what I've got to say. That's why you're on the video listening now. That's why you're so engrossed in what I'm saying. Every word I say is poetic. Every word I say is spoken, felt and heard. It's going to transform your life, because my words are coming from a place of actual real experience and actually changing from hating myself, hating people, to loving myself and loving people. I do try to love everyone. It's not always possible, but I generally love people and I love helping people. So that's the truth, and that is a continuous ongoing truth. So if we want to change, so it's interesting, I'm going to end on this video because it's overrunning a bit. This is what my student taught me today. If we want to do massive things, he's inspired me today, really has. If we want to do massive things, big things, we have to address the small things. There's no innuendo there, by the way. So we have to change patterns, because my old pattern was, Johnny's like this, Johnny responds like this, Johnny's political views are about this, Johnny feels this way about the world. And it's like, well, actually, no, Johnny doesn't. This is me getting a little bit of frustration now. Johnny doesn't feel that way about the world, and my political views have changed because I wasn't being myself and I was agreeing with what had been fed and forced onto me. And I actually don't respond in that way, so I had to kill myself. Not literally, but almost literally. I had to kill all of those tendencies, the people pleaser, the violent man, the aggressive man. I had to change my perception of myself before everyone else would change it. And I'm going to do another video about this in relation to when we change ourselves, our relationships with everyone changes. And some people don't like that. They get offended, they get threatened. It's been uncomfortable for me too. Some family members, even my mum, who I absolutely love dearly. And if my mum was to ever see this video, please mum, don't take this wrong, but I'm telling you the truth. My mum attacked me and got quite, I wouldn't say aggressive, that's too far, but my mum attacked me when I changed. She was threatened by my change, because she's used to me being how I used to be, which is codependent, insecure, complaining, being a bit of a mummy's boy, being angry about people, being anxious, and she didn't meet that person. She met a guy that was honest, sincere, present, and not looking for validation. I don't need validation from anyone but myself and God. I'll leave you with that. Enjoy the process.